Hey everybody, TJ Auclair here from the Caddie Network. Happy to be joined today from a buddy who unfortunately I've never met in person just yet, but Basil, we've exchanged emails over the last couple years. It's been cool getting to know you a little bit, but the guest is Basil Dalberto, who he caddies on both the PGA Tour and the European Tour, primarily over in Europe right now with France's Matthew Pavon. You guys just played in the British Masters over the weekend, a nice little T26 in the
Thank
return
you.
action. Um, Tell us what it's like so far, man. I mean, this is the first, well, last week was the first week back for you. So nice to
Yeah,
be back.
yeah, it's great. It's great to see everyone, to walk on the fairways, to feel the adrenaline of competition. 4 months off, and then to be honest, they did a really good job last week, and they do a really good job every week. I started caddying professionally 15 years ago on the European Tour, and I must say this is by far the best organization I've ever seen on this tour. They take the situation really seriously. The European Tour is a world tour. You've got caddies and players coming from all over the world, so they have to make sure that the testing procedures is really strict, that everyone follows all the protocol, and they created this bubble system that we all stay, all players and all caddies, on site in the same hotel. I feel like a player now. I'm in the players' hotel. You don't want to take too many bad habits, but they run it really well. And yeah, last week was a great event. I must say, from A to Z, they nailed it all week long.
Now, just for the listeners out there, you spent your quarantine at home in Prague. Can you tell us
Correct.
can you tell us what it was like there? I know things have been pretty crazy here in the United States for the last few months. We still have our hot spots, but what was it like in Prague?
We got really lucky. We're a small country, 10.5 million people, right in the center of Europe. And, we were the first country of the European Union to close the borders, and we were the first country of the European Union to impose masks, face masks. So things got really quick. I remember it all happened on March 13th. I was supposed to fly to Florida on the 14th in the morning, and we had dinner with my best friend at a good restaurant of friends of ours, on the restaurant. And one of the owner came to us and they go, "Guys, make sure you get your favorite dessert because you might not get it for a while." And we were like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "I just got a call from my business partner, and tomorrow state of emergency is gonna start. They're gonna close everything." And I was like, "Okay, this is getting really serious." And I couldn't sleep all night. My luggage was ready. I went to the airport at 4 in the morning. My first flight was at 6, and I literally saw 250 to 300 American students trying to get back home because the university had said the day before that this is it. They were going to close the universities. So it was incredible. I didn't fly in the end. I come back on the Monday morning. They said, you have to, starting tomorrow, so literally in 24 hours, you have to wear face masks. All the restaurants got shut. All the pubs got shut, which is a big deal in Czech Republic because drinking beer is a religion. Public transport had to wear a mask, only using it to go to supermarkets. They did a really good thing that from 7 in the morning when they opened the shops until 10, it was only for the senior citizens 60 and older, so that they could go ahead and get everything they needed. And, let's not forget, Czech Republic was still in communism 30 years ago. And the older generation, they grew up listening to orders and following the orders. And still to my generation, to all my friends, they still have this discipline of just following orders. So like I said, we're a small country, and because of that heritage, things got smoothly and we got in control pretty fast. I have a friend, she's a director of a hospital in the eastern part of the country, and she told me that the government called them straight away and asked, "What's your capacity? How many people, positive with COVID can you handle?" And they did that for every single hospital, whether it was fully public or semi-private or fully private. So they had a clear idea of what they could manage. And they really managed much less, people than what the maximum potential was going to be because they knew exactly what they could do and what they couldn't. So we handled it really well. And because of that, we reopened really early. I mean, I played golf on April 8th. It was only a 2 bowls, social distancing, but and then all the terraces of restaurants and pubs reopened on May 11th. I remember that because I had a nice Guinness and it was really tasty at the Irish pub where I go to, and then all the restaurants reopened on May 25th. So we handled it really well.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about what the protocol was like to get into the European Tour bubble? I know over here in the U.S., guys had to take an at-home saliva test before they could go. What was it like on the European Tour?
So every agent or player had to tell the tour which tournaments we're gonna play, the name of the caddies, our address and everything. So they sent everyone a COVID test in your home. You had to do it yourself and send it back straight away to the lab in London. And that was the first step. You could not travel to the tournament, obviously, if you were going to be positive, but no one got positive. Before the British Masters, we had 2 tournaments in Austria between Challenge Tour and European Tour rankings. And so far, it's already the 3rd week with no one positive. So everyone's doing a great job. Everyone's taking it really seriously. So once you did that test, then you were able to fly to come here to the UK. And as soon as you drove, everyone, players, caddies, had to get rental cars. The tour got us a really good deal with a rental car company, for these weeks. And everyone's got a rental car. So Matthew's got his own. I've got my own. Some players share with caddies, but you can only share with your caddies. Basically, the whole system is whatever you do as a player, the only person you can do it with, car sharing, is your caddy or nobody. So that's pretty straight about that, but there's no choice. I mean, if you want to keep the record at 0 positive tests, you got to go ahead and do that bubble. So basically, you drive to the bubble. You had to plan. We have this great portal system on the internet where you book your practice rounds, where you book your tests, and as soon as you arrive on site, you get your test. It takes 4 hours to get your results. And once you get your results, I don't have it here, I'll show you. They change the color of the linear of your pass. So orange means you're waiting for your test result. And then last week was pink, but this week is okay, you're good to go. It was negative. So just to give you an example, tournament British Masters finished on the Saturday, which is unusual. Stayed at the hotel where we were all last week on Saturday night, drove yesterday, did my test at 4, stayed in my room until 8. I got my result, negative. Okay, good to go. You can switch. And that's it. And everyone's gotta go through that. But it's really, really interesting because, like I said, everyone's got only one person per room. All caddies, all players staying in the same place. If breakfast, lunch, dinner, the only person you can be with is your caddy. So it's really interesting already because you can see which players, caddies' relationships are really based on respect as a boss and as a person. I'm really lucky to work for Mathieu because we get along really well and we share a lot, and we don't, our working relationship is to make sure that we always say everything we need to say to each other. And I take an example. Last week, didn't play so great the first round, had a good bogey-free 2 under on the second round to make the cut by 1. And then he had a good round going on the 3rd round. And then he had a really poor finish 4 over in the last 5 holes. And then you're going to have to get lunch with him. And that is the best thing about the situation, in a way, because you let the steam go, you say whatever you have to say, and you move on. And that was definitely key to being the best state of mind to go ahead and have a good last round, which we did. So, but you look at the tables around, it's total social distancing. On our table, we're 6 feet away, 2 meters apart, and then the other tables are pretty far. But you look around, and you see players and caddies just on their phones and not sharing a word, So It is quite interesting. That's where we realized, we're pretty lucky to work together because we get along really well, and we understand where we need to work to be where we want to be.
Mm-hmm. Now, this new normal, I'm sure it's taking some adjustment, but it seems like you're comfortable with it. I did see over the weekend Andrew Beef Johnston, who plays on the European Tour. he decided it was time for him to go home. He couldn't handle
It's
kind of what's like. It's different for everybody, right? I mean,
exactly,
but I could
exactly.
understand where he was coming from, saying how you went from this quarantine at home where they started to lift restrictions. He got out of it, and he felt like he was back in a quarantine on the European tour, which, for lack of a better phrase, that's what you guys are in order to make this work. So is it just a case of it being different for everyone?
Definitely. Beef is a really social person. He loves the game so much because of the people around him, because of the crowd. You know, he loves to high five the people after he hits a good shot. He likes to makes a few jokes with the crowds. Well, there's no crowds, and you can't in that system. You can't even have your wife or your partner on side with you unless she's gonna caddy for you. You know, there's David Drysdale, a player from Scotland. He's had his wife Victoria on the bag for quite a while. And it was quite interesting, actually. It was a few years ago, and I was reading the article on why he chose to have his wife on the bag, and he was like, I need the raw honesty from her, you know, in some moments on the golf course. I was like, yeah, you're definitely going to get that if you're going to get your wife on the bag. But there's two other players with their partners, you know, as their caddies. But if your partner is not caddying for you, you can't be here at the hotel with your partner. There's no social life. So it's not, I mean, John Daly would not last 2 days in that system. Yeah. Let's be honest. So it's gonna suit some guys. You know, I walked the course today. It was raining a lot, and I come to a player from Finland. And what's really interesting, and that's the beauty of the European Tour, is culturally you can see as well which culture is gonna fit really well into that bubble system and which culture is not. So yesterday, for example, you could see the Spaniards. You know, they were. Few of them smokers were outside in front of the hotel, social distancing, but you could tell they want to be together. You know, it was 5-6 of them smoking a cigarette, talking about football or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Typical, you know, Latin Spanish culture. But you look at the Scandinavians, they are used to the people from Finland. They used to, you know, not socialize as much. So it definitely suits some cultures, and it doesn't to other cultures. And you know, it's just really interesting, to be honest. Like you said, beef, yeah, definitely it's not gonna suit him, but he's not the only one. I think a lot of guys are making adjustments. A lot of guys realize how much they've been missing playing the game and even being with your caddy and you know, feeling the competition and all this. So they're making adjustments. They're making an effort. Some guys, they don't have to make an effort because it's their personalities, their cultures, and some guys, they just can't handle it, and beef was one of them. And there's other guys not playing, choosing not to play in that UK swing bubble system. It's 6 weeks here in the UK because of that reason, because it's a bubble. But we have no choice. If you want a perfect record, you have to get through that bubble.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're a world traveler. You have been for a long time. How different was the airport, you know, getting over to England this time compared to when things are the way that we knew them?
It's insane. I traveled already to go see my mom 2 weeks before traveling to come here to the bubble. And I mean, Prague is a really touristy city. I think we were the 5th most visited city in Europe in the last 2 years. And I went to see my mom. I flew from Prague to France on July 2nd, and it was a ghost town. Like, it was the first flight I had from Prague to Bordeaux, which is 2 hours away from where my mom lives. And it was literally a ghost town. But the organization was amazing. And once again, culturally, you could see that the Czech people really keep doing the right things to keep the records low. And what I mean by that is there's a few cops in the airport. They had the mask, they had gloves, I had the hand sanitizers, every gate in front of you. You know, you could not miss it. You know, it's available to everyone. And then I land in France, and guess what? You know, people who check your passport, no glove, no face mask, and you're like, Jesus Christ, no wonder why France didn't do so well and why we did so well. You know, yes, France is 65 million people, but you know, you can feel the culture. Latin culture is still gonna feel more free about doing what you want. A country that went through years and years and years of communism in Central or Eastern Europe is gonna follow the protocols much easier. And you look at countries like Slovakia, Czech Republic, Poland, they did really well.
Mm-hmm. Now, having talked to a lot of guys on this side of the pond, I know, there may have been a little bit of reluctancy to get back because of the unknown, but to a man, most of the caddies, they were ready to get back to work. I mean, you guys aren't necessarily living the lives of the guys that you caddy for, first of all, right? So they wanted to get back to
we
work.
are right now. We're in the same
You are right now. But they're not used to a lifestyle like that. So for a lot of guys, they were itching to get back to work. And thankfully on the PGA Tour, we've seen some positive tests, but I would say for the most part, considering all the tests that have been conducted, they've done a good job so far.
Amazing, those two.
Yeah. So did you have any reluctance to get back, or were you in that boat where, man, I got to get back to work?
Not at all. I mean, the big thing here in that situation is the PGA Tour started coming back tournaments a month earlier than the European Tour. So it was a massive opportunity for the European Tour to observe, what they're doing right, what we could do differently, to get better records, to make sure that no one gets the biggest difference is once you enter the bubble, you can't leave. And what I mean by that, last week, the golf course was 25-minute drive from the hotel where everyone was staying. And we had an email, all players and caddies before, where it's like, make sure you've got enough fuel for the whole week. If you stop to fuel your car and you get caught, you'll be DQ'd in the tournament. And that's the rule. It's driving last week, because here we're on site, but last week was driving from the golf course to the hotel, from the hotel to the golf course, don't stop anywhere. And in the email previous to that is make sure you have enough of everything you need, your Gatorades, your protein bars, all the stuff for your room. Like, make sure you have enough fuel, that you filled up the car before you enter the bubble. And that's it. It's that system of bubble. And we feel, I was chatting with a bunch of guys today about it, we feel that as long as we keep doing that, we'll get 0 positive tests. The only way to get a positive test is someone breaking the rule of the bubble and not getting caught. But the difference with the PGA Tour is, the testing has been great. No doubt about that. I was chatting with some friends, on the PGA Tour. They said the testing has been great, but you still had the freedom to stay in some hotels where you wanted to. And if I'm not mistaken, one player got tested positive because he left, at Hilton Head. He went outside the gate in a bar and restaurant full of people. A lot of people were on the beach. Guess what? It's the easiest thing to get if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's what happened. So that can't happen on our side right now because we're in that bubble system.
Yeah. And tell me about, we're so used to pretty much since the beginning of time, you start and end the golf round with a handshake. You're not doing that right now. So has it been difficult to adjust to that? Are you fine with it?
No, we know. Everything was clear in the emails before coming here. Watching the PGA Tour, doing the same. I mean, I love golf so much. I was watching the tournaments on the PGA Tour, and I wanted my buddies, to do well in the tournament as well. So by observing you, and then on the first day, on the first tee, they re-explained everything last week, and it was funny. It's on every tee you had a round, a painted round where one player and one caddy could stand, here on that spot. And it was 3 of them every 6 feet. Yeah. So we got disciplined straight away on the first hole. It's like, okay, this is my, the guy is going to be teeing up next. So I'm going to take the front one. And then it just happened that way. And even if somebody was going to make a double eagle or hole in one, you'd feel like, yeah, good shot, man. And that's it. No high five or nothing. It was easy. It was really straightforward. I mean, the preparation from the European Tour before that stretch has been the best I've ever seen. Everything was so clear in the emails. And basically we understand that with us respecting all these rules is going to mean tournaments to keep going. And because we love so much what we do, whether you're a player or I can tell, Mathieu is so happy to be back playing. They are competitors. That's what they live for. Those birdies and saving pars and everything. That's their lives, and that's our lives as well. And we got to do what's necessary to keep going. There's no secret.
Did you notice whether your player felt any less pressure out there? You mentioned what was it, the 2-over round to start last week, but without the crowd there, you don't have that same energy that you would have when things are normal. So I'm just wondering, does that change things at all? Does it feel more like a practice round, or are you right into competitive mode?
That's funny you talk about that. It was level par, by the way. We didn't go over par.
Oh, I'm sorry. 200
No,
more. Sorry.
I'm just joking.
You had mentioned a couple bogeys and having lunch. Yeah.
No, but I saw Lee Westwood. He was the host last week, and I thanked him for everything he's done to host the tournament. And he's like, "You're enjoying it?" And I said, "Well, one thing I really enjoy the most is not having to deal with drunk fans, who can be annoying in the wrong place at the wrong time." And he was started laughing. But we talked about it with Mathieu walking after the first 3 holes last week. And we looked at each other, and it was like me playing my club championship in my club and him playing with his buddies back home practicing. And I think it's kind of the same on the PGA Tour right now. So, I mean, it gives a massive advantage to players who have had the massive potential of winning and who haven't won as much. I think it's a great opportunity for them to realize, hey, I've got the game. Maybe I haven't been managing, the pressure with the crowd. The crowd is always cheering for the best players most of the time. If you play with one of them, you feel different. So it's definitely a more fair atmosphere to everyone, where it's like, okay, now the clubs do the talk in general, but now even more so. You don't have to deal with the crowd and the pressure of, the crowd if you're playing, with a big name player down the stretch. So I like it. I think it's more chilled. I'm more focused on what I have to do, especially after 4 months off. That's one thing that I personally want to work on more. I've been caddying for 15 years, but I realize, there's always room for improvement in my focus, and I want to focus as much as I can. And this is a perfect opportunity, and that's exactly what I told Mathieu as well. It's like, he's happy to be back. His status is not going to change unless he wins a tournament. That's his 4th year. He's starting his 4th year on tour. We had a great start of the season, good start of the season. It's an opportunity for him to get in a position to win a tournament, to change status, and to see how he's going to deal with it. And I know that not having crowds around is maybe a better way to deal with it at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Last thing for you, Basile, and then we'll let you go. But I wanted to get a European's perspective on news that came out a couple of weeks ago about no Ryder Cup in 2020. I've been to 10 of them. You can't have that with no fans, right?
No chance. This is the best. This is the best decision ever, really. I had a chance to go to 4 of them. Not as a caddy, but I was within the team in 2014. I was really lucky. I was there with a friend who caddied for one of the players. But my first one was Valderrama in '97. I was 18 years old. It was a year before I came to the US to play college. Golf was my life. It is my life, but even back then it was everything. It was just golf every day. So I had the chance to go down there, and Sevi growing up was my hero, and he was the captain. And from that first experience, to realize that the Ryder Cup is all about the people around. I had the chance to go to Boston 2 years later, even more so. It's all about the passion of all the people around, walking around the fairways. There's absolutely no way that the Ryder Cup could happen with no fans. It was the best decision ever. And even if the virus keeps going and we have to postpone it another year, well, let's do so. A Ryder Cup with no fans is just not. If they had wanted to keep going, it would have been really interesting to hear more and more what the players would have said about that, because they would have totally disagreed, in my opinion. I know Rory said, no way already. And I'm sure that many more would have backed up and said, no, we're not going to play a Ryder Cup without fans. Definitely not. Yeah. It would be like a Super Bowl with no one in the stadium. Come on. Is that possible?
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. So, Baz, thanks so much for taking the time, man.
Very welcome.
Best of luck to you and Mathieu out there in England in this bubble on the European Tour.
Thank you very much.
Hope to see you in person stateside sometime in the near future. I don't know when that'll be, but
the top 10, there's a mini ranking of the first 5 events here in the UK. Top 10 of that mini ranking gets a spot into the US Open.
Okay.
So So that's a goal. And before we go, I just want to take the opportunity to say massive congratulations to Michael and D'Lo last week. From the short time I spent on the PGA Tour the last 2 years, they're definitely some of the two nicest guys, and I could not be happier for them, especially D'Lo. He's such a nice guy, and I hope he's going to be able to buy 2 new combis with a nice paycheck.
Well, we'll leave it at that. Baz, thanks so much. Stay safe, man, okay?
You too. All right. Looking forward to see you.